branch. The lumbar branch, ramus lumbalis, supplies the psoas major and the quadratus lumborum, anastomosis with the last lumbar artery, and sends a small spinal branch through the intervertebral foramen, between the last lumbar vertebra and the sacrum, into the vertebral canal, to supply the cauda equina. The iliac branch, ramus iliacus, descends to supply the iliacus. Some offsets running between the muscle and the bone anastomose with the iliac branches of the obturator. One of these enters an oblique canal to supply the bone, which others run along the crest of the ilium, distributing branches to the gluteal and abdominal muscles, and anastomosing in their course with the superior gluteal, iliac circumflex, and lateral femoral circumflex arteries. The lateral sacral arteries, arteria sacralis lateralis, arise from the posterior division of the hypogastric. There are usually two, a superior and an inferior. The superior, of large size, passes medialward, and after anastomosing with branches from the middle sacral, enters the first or second anterior sacral foramen, supplies branches to the contents of the sacral canal, and, escaping the corresponding posterior sacral foramen, is distributed to skin and muscle of the dorsum of the sacrum, anastomosing with the superior gluteal. The inferior runs obliquely across the front of the piriformis and the sacral nerves of the medial side of the anterior sacral foramina, descends on the front of the sacrum and anastomoses over the coccyx, with the middle sacral and opposite lateral sacral artery. In its course it gives off branches, which enter the anterior sacral foramina. These, after supplying the contents of the sacral canal, escapes by the posterior sacral foramina, and are distributed to the muscles and skin of the dorsal surface of the sacrum, anastomosing with the gluteal arteries. The superior gluteal artery, arteria glutea superior, gluteal artery, is the largest branch of the hypogastric, and appears to be the continuation of the posterior division of that vessel. It is a short artery which runs backward between the lumbosacral trunk and the first sacral nerve, and, passing out of the pelvis above the upper border of the piriformis, immediately divides into a superficial and a deep branch. Within the pelvis it gives off a few branches to the iliacus, piriformis, and obturator internus, and just previous to quitting that cavity a nutrient artery which enters the ilium. The superficial branch enters the deep surface of the gluteus maximus, and divides into numerous branches, some of which supply the muscle and anastomose with the inferior gluteal, while others perforate the tendinous origin, and supply the integument covering the posterior surface of the sacrum, anastomosing with the posterior branches of the lateral sacral arteries. Deep branch lies under the gluteus medius, and almost immediately subdivides into two. Of these, the superior division, continuing the original course of the vessel, passes along the upper border of the gluteus minimus to the anterior superior spine of the ilium, anastomosing with the deep iliac circumflex artery and the ascending branch of the lateral femoral circumflex artery. The inferior division crosses the gluteus minimus obliquely to the greater trochanter, distributing branches to the glutei, and anastomosis with the lateral femoral circumflex artery. Some branches pierce the gluteus minimus and supply the hip joint. End of section 23. Recording by Ellie, June 2009.